Madam President, earlier this month, this being Black History Month, I spoke about the fact that on February 1st, 17 historically Black colleges and universities had received bomb threats. At 8:55 this morning, Hampton University was the target of such a bomb threat, which I indicated why we continue to need Black History Month because of the seriousness of such threats to our institutions. And I would like to continue to talk about the necessity of Black History Month as this month comes to a close on Monday. On his first day in office, Governor Youngkin issued Executive Order 1 to end the use of inherently divisive concepts in K-12 public education here in the Commonwealth. Since then, teachers have grappled with defining divisive concepts with little guidance from the administration. Connor Collins, a Newport News middle school teacher of AP U.S. History, reviewed the order and couldn't find any specific answers and stated that the order only led to more questions, which left him concerned that his lessons on the era of enslavement would be outlawed under the new order. I, alongside Mr. Collins, am left with an executive directive without definition, one that threatens to erase Black history. This is not the first time African Americans have struggled against definitions here in Virginia. African American history is not something that is a concept or a theory, but is fact in our history. A history we will not stand by and watch this administration erase. Students at Norfolk's Roadstead Montessori High School have seen this firsthand as they have spent years transcribing ship manifests and records of sail tracking the names of enslaved men, women, and children shipped south from Norfolk to New Orleans. This project, which aims to help Black Americans trace their ancestry, could easily be outlawed by the governor's ban if defined as a divisive concept. But that does not change the reality of what happened, a reality that students can only truly understand by engaging with this material firsthand. One student said, "It's not really real until you see all those names on paper. Names of men, women, and children as young as 9 who were defined as property and shipped south as cargo. Would tracking these facts be an inherently divisive concept? These facts are not simply concepts. They are history, our history." African-American poet Audre Lorde once said, "For Black women as well as Black men, it is axiomatic that if we do not define ourselves for ourselves, we will be defined by others for their use and to our detriment." Defined like we were upon landing on the shores of Virginia in 1619 at Old Point Comfort, listed alongside the cargo of the ship, and defined as 20 and odd Negroes by Captain John Rolfe. At Fort Monroe, where the first Africans landed, the journey of slavery had its beginnings, and it is at that same place where it began to unravel in 1861. Major General Benjamin Butler, military leader and lawyer, determined that the U.S. Constitution and the Fugitive Slave Act did not affect another country, which Virginia had claimed to itself to be as part of the Confederate States of America. So when 3 brave men set out from Confederate-controlled Norfolk and sailed and rode across Hampton Roads to the Union fort of Fort Monroe, Governor Butler defined them as contraband of war, the same definition that was offered to captured cattle and buildings, yet they were no longer enslaved. Frank Butler, James Townsend, and Shepard Mallory, the contrabands, became some of the first African Americans to escape the shackles of slavery and fought alongside other patriots to defeat the Confederacy and unite our country a history that is now ironically being defined as too divisive to teach to the children of the Commonwealth. I would now like to borrow a phrase from United States Congressman Donald McEachin, one of our former colleagues who sat here on this floor, who said earlier this month in describing the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King when talking about critical race theory. He said that Dr. King was murdered on April 4th, 1968. And he said it was critical, it was about race, but it wasn't a theory, it was fact. So when Frank Baker, James Townsend, and Shepard Mallory decided to row across Hampton Roads in 1861, it was critical, it was about race, it was not theory, it was a fact. Zora Neale Hurston, another great African American author, said, "If you are silent about your pain, they'll kill you and say you enjoyed it." I stand today and refuse to be silent. I refuse to allow the teaching of our history to be silenced. The history of our people is one of resilience, self-determination, and self-definition. And that history is not one that divides, but should unite, should inspire us all to push back against leadership that threatens to silence the voice of the many for the comfort of the few. Thank you, Madam President.